Hello and welcome back to the Sports Circle Show. Today we have a very, very special guest, Dr. Shubham Gupta. Thank you so much, sir, one, for coming to the show, taking out time and talking to us. And Dr.
Thank you.
Shubham
Thank you, Sujit.
Gupta will be taking us through his journey with sports medicine and physiotherapy. He's one of the leading experts in the field right now in the country. And this is something that every single person in the sports field should be aware of and should be listening in very carefully. So please do stay tuned. Let's just start, sir, and I'll take you right to the very beginning. How did
Yeah.
the sports love happen? Because I don't believe you get into something without the sports love being there in the first place.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for inviting me for this conversation. And I'm really feeling lucky because talking about sports is something which everyone should do, and it should be done so that we should have develop the sport, right? So, starting as you rightly mentioned, one should have the interest in sports, then should enter into the sport, right?
True.
So, I myself was into sports. In basketball, I was very much into it. So, but late back then, you know how the family situation used to be. They were more used to focus on studies and everything. So that's why the sports left behind. But I was lucky enough so that with the help of physiotherapy, I was able to do my sports medicine masters, and I was lucky to enter into the sports field because of that and pursue my goals again and the passion which was there in me. So to follow that again, yeah.
So I want to ask this then, like you said, एक passion था about basketball and everything else. How does the switch happen as to when did you realize, okay, this is a field where I can be associated with sports also? Like this is something I'm passionate about, yes, and एक career भी बन सकता है इसमें से.
Right. So what happened actually was I was in second year of my bachelor's,
Okay.
right, where I was introduced with sports physiotherapy
Mm-hmm.
back in 2010. So from there, the passion again came back to get into the sports, and from there I have never looked back, and I was onto it. After my bachelor's also, I was working in sports field only and with a small consignment. And after masters, I was offered many jobs from the hospitals setup, but I was not interested. I was ready to sit back and home, but not ever going to the hospital setup because I was interested in sports only.
Okay. Okay.
So because of in 2010 afterwards, I was thinking of sports in my mind, and that is what made me feel because athletes are also need that help. So
Yeah.
I was thinking if I can give a bit support from my side, why not? So that made me go ahead with the sports only.
Then how? What was your first big association with this industry? Let's say an athlete or an event or something of that sort.
Yeah, so after my masters, there was small consignment from the SAI, basically with the cricket and the football team. But that was on the junior and maybe the under 16 level. Then I applied in OGQ and I
Hmm.
got selected in 2017. From there, my journey, I would say, again started, and it was the point where my sports journey basically started,
Okay.
the real sports journey, I would say. So
Okay.
I got to meet the best athletes in India. I got to work with them. I whatever I can do for them, I was able to do because of the OGQ, and I was lucky enough to be and fortunate enough to work for OGQ.
I'll come to the OGQ section maybe in a couple of minutes because
Yeah.
that is also like honestly speaking, sir, I believe personally OGQ is one of the most like important organizations we have right now in the country. To be very honest, um, but I also like you said, cricket and football and every other basic. I'm pretty sure you've basically dealt with every sport by this time. So
Right.
how has that experience been different from sport to sport?
So yeah, so every sport is different. When you talk about a team sport like football, cricket, or maybe individual sport like I work with wrestling,
Yeah,
athletics, badminton, and shooting. So every sport has its unique qualities. So team sport, you have to be with the team, working with the team on ground. But in individual sport, you again have to work with the team. But player perform individually, but at the back there is always a team working behind,
yeah,
right? So in team sport you can see the team play on the ground, but in the
hmm,
individual sport you will never see a team play in the ground. You will see
yeah.
an individual, but there is always a team at the back. So you play any game, you work in any game, it's always a team sport.
Okay. And purely from a physiotherapy angle at this point, सबसे ज्यादा चैलेंजिंग स्पोर्ट कौन सा है?
So what is physiotherapy? Physiotherapy is basically dealing with the performance, the injury. So
Yeah.
जिसमें सबसे ज्यादा इंजरीज हो रही है वही चैलेंज
वही
है,
वही 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 मैं
राइट?
पूछ रहा
सो yeah, so I have worked a lot in wrestling,
हूँ.
right? And I personally feel others may have other perceptions also, but I personally feel wrestling is the most challenging sport in respect of injuries, maybe dealing with the athlete, and maybe any feeling the pressure in the game, because it's a 6 minute game and you have to go all out,
Yeah.
right? So everything is there. And so I personally feel wrestling is very challenging because you face challenges there day to day. I go through maybe 15 20 mris in a month, right?
Okay.
And you see,
Okay.
yeah, and that's on ground. I'm not sitting in a clinical setup where people
Yeah.
approach me,
True.
right?
True.
I'm
Yeah.
going in an academy, and that's a India's number one academy, and where you see these kind of injuries happening, right? So our duty was to cut down those injuries, right? But after all, the wrestling sport is that, the contact sport, where after the best of the fitness also na, the athlete end up into an injury because the game
True.
is so hard,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
you can never trust the opponent. What can happen with the opponent, you never know. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you are there as a physio, you have to deal with that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to make the athlete fit in the end, so that's always challenging. So one day you came back at the from the work to home, okay, then now your athlete is fit. Next day you again you went to the academy and you saw the athlete is again injured. Yeah, so these kind of scenarios, these are depressing also, because you have to achieve your goal,
Yeah.
right? So when you are focusing on a goal like an Olympic medal, so these kind of injuries or something give you a setback, right? And you have to make the athlete confident that nothing has happened, but inside of yourself you know that there is an injury and you have to deal with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As a physiotherapist and a sports medicine expert, I'm very sure by now, after all these years, with a single touch, there's a lot you can already decipher and judge कि अच्छा ये तो हो चुका है, इसके आगे देखते हैं.
Right. That happened because just जिस दिन इंजरी होती है, you have seen, you know कि इंजरी हो गई है, ठीक है, एंड these things are there, but अभी 2 3 दिन बचे हैं when this recovery start, and the swelling and initial pain goes off, and now you will know what is the exact injury is. It may be a higher level or maybe a low levels, it depends. So that to happen, yeah.
So, just a very small question then. In all of the athletes, मतलब बहुत सारे athletes के साथ अलग अलग sports के साथ काम कर लिया, who's that one athlete who bounces back from injury very miraculously quickly? मतलब अरे यार इसको इतना तेज नहीं हो सकता था रिकवर, ये क्या हो रहा है?
It's a bit tricky, but I cannot name any athlete like that,
Okay.
because everyone has its own healing properties. Yeah.
Hmm.
So when an athlete is a junior level athlete, you say a sub junior level athlete, they have a tendency of, the body has a tendency to heal more quickly. The metabolism is good. Yeah. So and as the athlete ages, the those
Hmm.
properties goes away, or maybe goes down. The immunity goes down. The healing properties goes down. Right. So these kind of things happens. So you cannot name an athlete at a moment that that athlete has recovered so good. Yeah, but for the junior athlete or maybe sub junior athlete, I would say they recover pretty much more early than a senior athlete.
Fair, fair. So, coming back to your journey, so what were the kind of challenges through, especially in the initial stages? One, and two, how do you see this particular side of things, sports medicine and physiotherapy, has evolved over the last few years that you've been working deeply in this? Because I'm very sure जब around the time you also started 15 16 वाला जो time था वहां पे it was slowly getting to an awareness point, a little more awareness, because
Right.
जब खेल रहे थे आप, जब हम लोग खेल रहे थे तब तो नहीं था awareness. So how do you, what kind of challenges were there through the journey initially, and what kind of evolution have you seen, improvement have you seen happening in this industry?
Yeah, so when I joined back, the challenges were usually to get the confidence of an athlete, because
Hmm.
athlete was not used to sports science that time.
Yeah.
Those days, they were getting into the sports science. They were entering into sports science because coaches were not open enough, right? The athlete was not open enough. They were into game only. They were like कि इंजरी हुई है, ठीक हो जाएगी, ये तो गेम गेम का पार्ट है, अपने आप हो जाएगी. बट ऐसा नहीं
Hmm.
होता है. There's always a sports science team member who will help you in getting out of that injury.
Yeah.
राइट, तो वो चेंजेस काफी आया है. अभी क्या होता है, एथलीट आपकी तरफ देखता है, इंजरी होते ही उसको सबसे पहले दिमाग में आएगा फिजियो कहाँ है, मेरा स्पोर्ट्स मेडिसिन डॉक्टर कहाँ है, मेरे को
हाँ.
उनको दिखाना चाहिए, मेरे को अपने न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट से बात करनी चाहिए, उसकी हेल्प कैसे मिलेगी. ठीक है, एंड जब रिकवरी कर रहा है तो हमारा मेरा एसएनसी है, वो मेरी फिटनेस को कैसे मेंटेन कर सकता है, बिकॉज वो भी एक पार्ट है. बिकॉज अगर उसके नी में इंजरी लगी है तो बाकी फिटनेस भी तो मेंटेन करनी है, तो उसमें
बिल्कुल.
एसएनसी फिजियोज इनका बहुत रोल रहता है.
बिल्कुल. बिल्कुल.
तो अभी काफी चेंजेस आए हैं. पहले ये डिफिकल्टी रहती थी, तो एथलीट ओपन अप नहीं होते थे, लेकिन अभी दे आर मतलब अभी उनको इम्पोर्टेंस समझ आई है. आई वुड से जो इंटरनेशनल और अच्छे लेवल के एथलीट्स हैं जिनको कुछ अचीव करना है, उनको समझ आया है कि
ओके.
हमें कौन से टीम मेंबर का कब यूज लेना है, एंड हमें कैसे उनकी हेल्प मिल सकती है.
हम्म. आई बिलीव पहले तो कोचेस का भी यही होता था, चलना 2 लैप भाग के आजा, फिर कुछ हो गया तो ठीक हो
राइट
जाएगा.
राइट, पहले भी अभी भी कुछ ओल्ड स्कूल कोचेज हैं, धीरे
हाँ.
धीरे चेंज हो रहे हैं, बट काफी चेंजेस आए हैं. कोचेस को भी अब अंडरस्टैंड आने लगा है कि हमारा रोल कहाँ तक है एंड स्पोर्ट्स साइंस टीम मेंबर का रोल कहाँ पे शुरू होता है,
ओके.
तो वो भी डिफरेंस आने लगा है.
That's very important. And like you said, younger athletes, I'm sure, जो अभी इंटरनेशनल वाले तो ऑब्वियसली सीरियसली ले ही रहे हैं, बट आई एम श्योर जो द पीपल एंटरिंग द सिस्टम नाउ, द एंटरिंग द एज ग्रुप्स आल्सो, दे आर आल्सो टेकिंग इट मोर सीरियसली, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग, बिकॉज उन लोगों को तो अवेयरनेस मिल रखी है ऑलरेडी कि हाँ ये चीजें हैं एग्जिस्टिंग.
राइट, सो अब जूनियर एथलीट्स का बताता हूँ. जैसे उनको क्या होता है, दे सी द सीनियर एथलीट्स ना, कि अभी बिकॉज यू विल सी ना, जो उनका एक आइडल होता है जूनियर एथलीट्स का,
जी. जी.
वो उसको बहुत मिमिक करते हैं, उसको बहुत स्टडी करते हैं, बहुत उनको उन पे ध्यान देते हैं.
जी.
सो दोज थिंग्स हैपन. सो वो इस चीज में भी, जो आपका जूनियर एथलीट है वो सीनियर को देखता है कि नाउ उसको इंजरी हुआ था, एंड हाउ ही इज मतलब ही इज गोइंग विद द फिजियो, इज हैविंग द फिजियो सेशंस, द रिहैब सेशंस, एंड हाउ द न्यूट्रिशनिस्ट इज हेल्पिंग दैट एथलीट. तो अब उनको भी इंजरी होती है तो वो भी सोचते हैं कि हाँ, इनको इस चीज से मदद हो रही है तो हम क्यों नहीं.
जी.
सो अगर हमें भी कोई दिक्कत है, सो वी विल टेक आल्सो हेल्प फ्रॉम दिस पर्संस. सो वो चीज़ों में बहुत अवेयरनेस आई है. एंड कोचेस तो हैं ही अब की, उनको भी जैसे सीनियर एथलीट है तो जूनियर एथलीट को भी होते हैं, बिकॉज उनको पता है कि अगर रेस्ट नहीं लेगा प्रॉपर तो वो दोबारा कम बैक बहुत स्लो हो जाएगा. तो वो उन चीज़ों में भी बहुत हेल्प करने लगे हैं.
Okay, great. I'm really glad this is changing, honestly. So let's say there is somebody who is wanting to get into this field, मतलब सोच रहा है कि यार this is something that I can do, जो एसोसिएशन रह सकता है मेरा स्पोर्ट्स के साथ. किस तरह की प्रिपरेशन और क्या चीजें करनी होंगी उस पर्टिकुलर पर्सन को?
तो टू बिकम, यू आर आस्किंग टू बिकम एज अ फिजियो, राइट?
हाँ. या फिजियो.
या, सो अगर कोई एथलीट है, जैसे उनके पास दो तीन ऑप्शंस है. अगर दे आर इनटू मेडिसिन, सो वो हमारा जो 4.5 years का बैचलर्स होता है, देन देयर इज अ मास्टर्स 2 years का स्पोर्ट्स मेडिसिन में. दे हैव टू डू दैट, अगर दे हैव टू बिकम अ गुड फिजियो, राइट. एंड देन उसके साथ तो ऑन फील्ड एक्सपीरियंस वो सब, वो इट्स अ टाइम प्रोसेस, वो चलता रहता है. सेकंड थिंग व्हाट इज देयर, many of the athletes are taking up SNCs. They are becoming a
Okay.
good SNC, the top India
Yeah.
SNCs they are becoming, and they themselves were athlete and they dropped out. Same like you that you told ki injury हुआ and they were not able to continue the game,
Yeah.
right? So वो चीज़ें they are getting into it, and some of them have interest in nutrition. They are getting into the nutrition field, or maybe the
Okay.
psychologist, because the
Oh, yeah.
psychology field is also growing up. Yeah, and athletes are very much interested in talking to the psychologist to get their performance.
Yeah.
So yeah, so these are the fields which are opening up for a person to get into the sports and live their passion.
Okay. So, and what would your advice be to young athletes then? मतलब एक तो ये लोग हो गए जो want to be associated through medicine and physiotherapy and through all of those.
Hmm.
Then there are the people who are actually athletes, younger athletes getting into the system under 14, under 16, under 17. What would be your advice to them to take care of their bodies a little better? Maybe everybody doesn't have that sort of access.
Yeah, you said it right, because in every academy you will not find the physios or maybe
Exactly.
the SNC, right? So I would say athlete को अपनी body पता होनी चाहिए, because
Okay.
they are the best judge. अगर हम किसी individual एक best athlete के साथ काम कर रहे हैं, unless until उसको अपनी body नहीं पता, हम भी helpless हैं, because he
Hmm.
will know when the his body is getting that enough load or not.
Okay.
They're getting the extra load. They can only tell themselves कि today I have done an heavy workout, so I should take a rest or I should decrease my load the next session, so that he is ready for the other day. So I would tell those athletes to take care of their body, like they should understand the body demands, how
Okay.
their body is working, what are the demands of the body in respect of the load, in respect of the nutrition, because sometimes some supplements can work for you and the some cannot work for the other athlete.
Yeah.
So you should know how your body is reacting to those things. So to grow yourself as a good athlete, you should respect your body demands and should work accordingly to your body.
Okay. And what kind of जैसे आपने बोला अभी कि सब अकेडमीज के पास फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट या स्पोर्ट्स एक्सपर्ट्स स्पोर्ट्स मेडिसिन एक्सपर्ट्स शायद ना हो बट
Right.
what kind of access do you see happening on the grassroots right now in the sense is it improving or at a good pace, maybe not that good a pace? Where are we right now?
No, it's improving, I would say, because abhi kya hai, there are multiple government scheme also coming up like Khelo India and everything, no?
Yeah.
So they are also promoting everything on the grassroots level. So and many multinational companies who are working in sports, helping the sports athletes. So they are also working on the grassroots level, because you see there's Olympic after every 4 years,
Yeah.
right? And that athlete who is coming from the grassroots will perform in the next 4 years to that level, right? So that athlete will come from the grassroots only. So there are multiple companies, and the government is also working. So a lot of things happening on the background for those athletes to grow up. There
Okay.
are athletes, we also know them, and we are hoping that they will perform in 2028. Yeah, so
Okay.
we are also backing them. Yeah,
Okay.
so many things are happening, yeah, for the improvement of the sports at the grassroots level. Yeah.
I want to ask this then. From a sports medicine and physiotherapy point of view, purely from that, what can India do to improve our athletes who are competing internationally? मतलब अभी ऐसा नहीं है कि अच्छा काम नहीं हो रहा सारे फील्ड्स में, पर what can be done even more maybe?
Yes. So इसमें as you mentioned, the sports science team is improving a lot. We have improved a lot from the last maybe two Olympic cycles, right?
Okay.
And everything is evolving. That is why the athletes are also looking forward for a sports science team member in their team,
Okay.
right? But I would say it's not a it's an ongoing process. Okay, and we are in the learning phase, and we have to always learn ahead. Yeah, so for this, I would say there's multiple researches happen all over the world. So as a sports science team member, I also personally go through those researches which are important in my game and which can improve my athlete to and
Mhm.
get them that performance. So as a professional, everyone should be aware of what is going around in the world in the sports science industry, and be in touch with your education and your these practical things at the same time. Yeah.
So now I want to ask about the OGQ, Olympic Gold Quest. For those who are not aware for some reason about the fantastic work OGQ is doing, हम लोगों ने चैनल पे एक वीडियो किया हुआ है, जाके देखो जरूर से. But okay, coming to OGQ, what kind of work is being done in your field specifically?
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to tell about OGQ a bit. It's an not-for-profit organization,
Yeah.
and our team is only helping the athletes to win that Olympic medal, especially
Yes.
the gold medal we are looking for,
Yeah.
right? Because the number of medals are slowly increasing for us, but we have to increase the number of gold medals too,
Yes.
right? So our aim is that only we don't have to stop on one. Yeah,
बिल्कुल
because
बिल्कुल.
Neeraj has done that, but we in the next Olympic we are hoping to get many more.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, so GQ is, I would say, doing a fantastic work. We have a big team working on field, off field. Everyone is putting their best foot forward to achieve the maximum in this Olympic.
Yes. So I'm talking from the sports medicine point of view and the physio. How is OGQ helping athletes across the country from that in that particular segment?
Yeah. So I would like to tell we have separate teams in that our OGQ, like the athlete managers we have, the research team we have, right? The sports science team we have. So everyone are working together, right? So wherever we find a particular athlete, so the sports science team member, we are providing them the physiotherapy, the strength and conditioning expert, the nutritionist, the psychologist, and maybe the coaches, the foreign coaches, or maybe the best Indian coaches we are providing to them. So these kind of supports which athlete need in their career, so we are making a small move so that we can help that athlete to achieve that goal which he in the end, because a small input from anyone can help them, right? In the end it's
True.
the effort of an athlete, I would say, but we are at the back of an athlete backing up them so that they can achieve something, and India can achieve something. Yeah, and India
True.
can grow as a in the sporting world.
Cool. Fingers crossed, sir. Last question then.
Yeah,
What do you think is the future of sports physiotherapy in the country right
I would say it's growing very fast pace.
now? Okay.
Yeah, because in the last 1.5 years, the demand of physios is increasing explosively.
Okay.
Yeah, in India, because we are hiring the other like the size hiring so much, and everyone in the field is hiring. This the hiring has increased because the demand is there, because the athlete need a physio, right?
Right.
Athlete need someone who is there to help them recover from the injury. It needs someone who can make them feel them fit, right? And they can improve their performance. So apart from the coach, they look forward for a physio, because they spend, I think, most of the time with the physio, I would say.
Okay.
The maximum time a athlete spends with any sports science team member is a physio, who is there for their treatment session maybe, and for their recovery session they are planning for their. So everything is there from the lot is coming from the sports physio field. And I would say, if one is thinking of pursuing as a sports physio, they must do it, because the demand is growing a lot in the whole world. It's growing a lot, and everyone is getting aware of it. So the basic reason is that only the awareness is has grown. Yeah, so I would say, if you have that passion and you want to help an athlete to grow, so you should pursue this field. Yeah.
So yeah, do that if you are passionate about sports and you have a inkling and interest towards the medicine side of things. This is a field that is booming. And once again, thank you so much, sir, for all the expertise and the insight you've shared today. I I'm very sure this will be actually helpful for a lot of people trying to enter this industry. Yeah, one. And that one thing of athletes, the younger athletes, being aware of their own bodies and the body's requirements, that I'm very sure will go a long way in helping and making sure that they're ready for the next step.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling me, and I'm thankful to Sports Circle to having this interaction and making all of us aware of what is happening in the sports. If I can make a bit of it, I'm so glad of it. Yeah, thank you so
And
much.
I'm sure it will be very helpful. Thank you so much, sir.